Welcome back, folks. Today we're talking about time management. Unfortunately for most folks, their time management strategy is just go faster, which isn't really a strategy. As a result, they make poor decisions or lose depth in their answers. So today I want to share with you 5 real, easy to implement strategies to help you manage time better, not feel rushed, demonstrate depth in your answers, and receive a strong higher rating. Let's start with the most important and foundational one that controls the entire interview flow, but over 80% of candidates still don't do this, which is split thinking and communication. This is at the root of all problems and goes in combination with strategy number 2. See, most candidates make the mistake of speaking in lockstep with their thinking, meaning they think and communicate all at the same time. While that's a reasonable thing to do at work meetings, in interviews, we need to be a bit more strategic because thinking and communicating at the same time causes you to share half-baked thoughts that you yourself haven't built certainty over yet. As a result, you sound unsure, unstructured, beat around the bush, and overall, do not demonstrate clarity in your answers. And the interviewer does not get strong signals from you. Yes, we do want to share our thinking process, but that doesn't mean we need to say every damn thing that comes to mind. So here's what we need to do. Split your thinking and your communication. Think first in silence. Build certainty over your thoughts. Make your decisions. Then communicate your thinking process. Let me show you what I mean. Assume that we're doing a product sense exercise and we're just about to start on user segmentation. And this is roughly what the stages would look like. Whatever section we just finished, let's summarize that section. Then transition to the current section where you can say something like, I'll take a moment to gather my thoughts and I'll come back to you. The reason I recommend the word moment is that it's a relative term. Oftentimes, I'll see people say minutes or seconds, and this creates a form of an artificial pressure on ourselves. Like when we say minutes, it feels way too long. And when we say seconds, there's this pressure on us to come back to them very, very quickly. So what I recommend is going with the word moments so that the time is a little bit more relative and you can take the time that you need without feeling rushed. Then, before you communicate anything to your interviewer, we're going to go into what I call a thinking segment, in which we will just stay silent, we'll organize all of our thoughts, and make up our mind so that we don't share half-baked thoughts. This can last about 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. More than that is a little bit questionable, but anywhere between a minute to 90 seconds is totally fine. In this section, you'll actually do the user segmentation, all the segments that you want to think about. And once you are done with that, you'll come back to the interviewer for the debate and alignment, which is a communication section. So now you can share your consolidated thinking with the interviewer, answer any pushback, you likely have some form of a healthy debate. Now, after the debate, once you have alignment between yourself and the interviewer that, okay, these are the segments, your next step is likely to prioritize which segment. And again, we want to do that in silence. So you can say this transition statement to say that you're going to take a moment to, again, go do your prioritization, and then you'll come back to them. Now, again, we have a thinking segment where we will do our actual prioritization. We'll write our criteria for prioritization very, very clearly, and we'll make up our mind before we start communicating. Then we have another communication segment where we talk about what is the prioritization we actually did, what criteria did we pick and why, what final priority did we pick, which segment are we going with. We also want to defend all the decisions that we've made. So what are all of these segments that you haven't picked? Was there one that was a very close debate that you could have picked? Why did you not pick that one? We'll communicate all of those, and then you'll exit out of this section where we'll communicate what we've achieved in this section and what you're going to do next. So as you can see in this, you have 2 thinking segments and a few communication segments. In these thinking segments, make up your mind first, think in peace, and then you can come back to the interviewer and communicate thoughts that you've already aligned with yourself on, and these are not half-baked thoughts anymore. Now, a common question I get is, what about awkward silence? Simple answer, don't worry about it. The interviewer is also human and knows that we need time and peace to think. Allocate all of your brain's full bandwidth just to think first and then communicate. That awkward silence, it really isn't that awkward. It is way better to have a moment of silence followed by a great discussion rather than no silence at all with a superficial discussion with half-baked thoughts. So as interviewers want, we will share with them our thinking process, but only after we ourselves have certainty over it. And by doing that, we'll be able to deliver answers that are higher confidence and demonstrate that we're in control of this interview. Now, even the people who split thinking and communication get this next part wrong, and this is very important for how you develop time management. This is deep timestamping. Most people either don't even time themselves or have very shallow timestamps with just a start time and an end time of their interview. That is not enough. And I get it. I've been there and I've made this mistake too. The issue is that when people do this, they have no idea where to improve in the next iteration. Literally, after finishing a practice interview, when they check the timestamp, they see that they took 45 minutes for it. And the strategy in the next attempt is just to go faster. That's not a strategy. That's just hope. We need to do better. Have you ever seen how they do time checking in Formula One? They measure how much time a driver took at each individual section of the track, how much time for intermediate 1, how much time for intermediate 2, the final segment, and so on. We need to do something similar because that gives us better data on where to speed up and which skill we are underdeveloped on and taking too much time. This is deep timestamping. Let me show you. So back on the screen, these are the stages that we went through for, let's say, user segmentation. Now we want timestamps for each of these. So let's say that the thinking segment for brainstorming our user segmentation started at minute 17. I want you to put a timestamp when you started the thinking segment. Then when you are ready to share things with the interviewer, you want to put another timestamp for it. So let's say that's at minute number 19. Then you get done with the discussion and you're going back to do your thinking for your prioritization. You put a timestamp for it, meaning I start prioritization thinking at minute number 21. And then again at minute number 24, I'm done with prioritization. Now I'm going to communicate it to the interviewer. And finally, we reached alignment and we're exiting this section at minute number 25. Now, when you have timestamps like this, you can accurately detect where you are taking more time. And if I were to continue with this example, you will see that my overall user segmentation thinking is taking 2 minutes. Our debate and alignment is taking 2 minutes, which is not too bad, but my prioritization is taking 3 minutes. And then 1 more minute to reach alignment. A total, we have used 5 plus 3, 8 minutes total, of which 3 minutes went in prioritization. The reason I chose this example is that this is one of the most common patterns I've seen where people lose way too much time. Usually what people do at the early stages or mid stages of their career, especially when it comes to prioritization in product sense, at the user segmentation level or the pain points level or the solutions level, is that they'll create a complete table and rank everything according to a certain criteria. So let's say you have 4 segments or 4 pain points and 3 criteria. So 4 times 3 is 12. That means you're doing 12 individual pieces of scoring. I've been through this mistake as well, where I was rushing so much and I was like, I'm doing everything I can. I'm working so hard in these moments and my brain is at like full capacity. Why am I still taking so much time? And then when I did deep timestamping, I understood that it's actually the prioritization section that I'm spending like 4 minutes out of, which made me realize that I'm doing prioritization wrong. And I was able to make a targeted attempt to fix that specifically, bringing down the overall amount of time I was using for user segmentation. And that brings me to strategies number 3 and 4. And we'll go through these very, very quickly because these all build into strategy number 5. This is probably the most obvious one on the list, but many candidates still don't do this. This is accelerate the interviewer's alignment by screen sharing. Most candidates who don't screen share struggle to communicate well with the interviewer, but have no idea that they're doing a poor communication job because the candidate has a good mental model of their notes because they can see their bullet points. But as the interviewer, I need to pay such hard attention to be able to follow along and understand your structure. Less than 1% of candidates who write on paper do it well. Most don't. It's super hard to follow and the interviewers have a real tough time with it. And the worst part is that as a candidate, you are making your own job harder. As a candidate, you have a few jobs to do in the interview. Number 1, think really well about the problem. Number 2, communicate your ability effectively. Number 3, have the interviewer believe that you have the skills necessary. Meaning you don't just have the responsibility to think well, it's your job to bring the interviewer on your thinking journey and ensure that they absorb as much as possible. So you need to share your screen. And this is common amongst all the top candidates who do well and get top offers. Because when you do screen sharing, the screen does half the communication work for you. When you share your screen, I can see how you're thinking about the problem, what your structure is, what your flow is, what your decision-making criteria is, and how you're breaking down this problem overall. And here's the best part. As you type, myself or any interviewer are following along because we're not passive listeners. We have promised our company that we'll contribute to talent development at the company, so we're absorbing, we're actively listening and watching. Then, as soon as you're done writing, I'm already aware of all the things that you've written and I know what your points are. We can quickly go into a debate, or I can push you on areas that I need more clarity or alignment on. Now, you're not wasting your time reiterating everything that you wrote. Which brings me to strategy number 4, clarifying expectations. See, most people go through the entire interview without knowing what is really expected out of them and how many questions the interviewer wants to get through. Most people are too scared to ask this, but you don't need to be. Just ask interviewers, hey, we have about 30 to 45 minutes together. How shall we budget our time? Once you have clarity on this, you'll know exactly how much time to spend on each section. You'll know how deep to go versus what level to keep it at if there are more questions that are coming up. Now, strategy 5 is where all of this comes together, which is targeted practice in stages. Like we discussed in strategy 2, most candidates aren't aware where exactly they're taking too much time. Deep timestamping gives you the exact information you need. Now work on those sections in a targeted way and get that timing down. Most people will just do more practice exercises for improving time management. That is unlikely to work because you're testing and trying to develop 5 different skills at the same time with so many context switches. We can make our job easier by doing a target repeated practice. Let's say you've detected that it's the prioritization in user segmentation that is taking a lot of time. Now, just practice that one skill set and bring that timing down to what the expected benchmark should be. I'll cover the exact benchmarks for each of these sections in the Discover Toolkit video, which will help you get out of delivering frameworks to becoming a real product thinker. If this video helped you, please consider subscribing. This is a very, very new channel, and you subscribing really helps me out. I want to earn your subscription by providing you value today and value again in the future. See you guys on the next one.